Now, overnight, crypto markets were hit with a very hard and sharp risk-off move. Now, Bitcoin briefly fell to around 61.5k before rebounding into the 64k area, while Ethereum dropped into the 1,730 to 1,780 range. Now, the big question is, was this just a liquidation flush or the start of another leg lower? And now today we're going to break down everything to expect. Now, Bitcoin sold off very hard. Bitcoin fell roughly 4 to 5% intraday, touching about 61.557k before recovering. Now, Ethereum followed the move again and traded down roughly 5% over 24 hours, reaching a low of 1,734. Now, massive liquidations amplified volatility. Reports estimate about 1.7 to 1.8 billion in crypto liquidations in 24 hours, which tends to be and exaggerate both on the drop and the rebound. Now, the broader risk sentiment actually weakened. The US equity features softened and markets became more defensive, which often spills into crypto because crypto is still treated like a high-risk asset by many investors. Now, ETF flows have become a headwind. Spot Bitcoin ETFs have seen sustained outflows recently, with several sources reporting a multi-day streak of net withdrawals. So that reduces a key source of demand that helped fuel rallies earlier this year. Now, geopolitical and macro uncertainty. Now, tensions in global markets are shifting expectations around interest rates have pushed investors toward these safer assets. Now, Bitcoin has definitely not been consistent in behaving like a safe haven asset during these periods. So instead, it has often been treated like a risk asset nonetheless. And now the sentiment shock around the large holders, though. The news that a strategy, formerly called MicroStrategy, sold a small amount of Bitcoin for the first time since 2022, created outsized psychological impact, even though the amount was very small relative to its holdings, which are about 800,000+ Bitcoin. Now, a bullish argument would be that Bitcoin defends the 61 to 62k area that bounced quickly just in this area here, suggesting buyers were waiting there. Large liquidation events often create short-term oversold conditions. Now, the bearish argument would be that Bitcoin remains well below the 2025 highs and ETF flows have weakened. Now, if ETF flows continue and macro conditions don't improve and deteriorate, the market could reset recent lows, coming even below 60k, where we'd see a massive drop towards the downside. But currently, the lowest we have for Bitcoin was about 60k. So if we drop to 60k, that may be a healthy reset, or we could be shifting even deeper past 60k. So currently, the support and resistance levels that we have is that we have support at 61 to 62k, which is at the bottom here, and now the resistance is at 66 to 68k, where we previously had multiple rejections. Now looking in the 30-minute time frame. Now looking in this area at 66 to 67k, you can see we tried to push for the upside multiple times in this area, but we got rejected and we still continued that further move towards the downside. Now, a decisive break below support would increase the probability of another leg down, like I said, below 60k, and the reclaim of that resistance would actually support the short-term picture overall. Now, this is the part many viewers actually forget. Because Bitcoin bull markets have repeatedly included brutal pullbacks. As you can see, we've got a pullback, push to the upside, pullback again, and it looks like we are generating the same kind of area here. Now, in previous cycles, 20 to 40% corrections during broader uptrends were common. Now, the pattern is often that we have a strong rally, leverage builds, sharp liquidations event, sentiment turns bearish, and then the market either resumes a trend or enters a longer consolidation. Now, the important thing is that the past cycles do not guarantee the future, but they show the large drawdowns are not always unusual for crypto. So even after the 2024 halving, research does suggest the positive effect was gradual rather than immediate, which fits the idea that the supply changes interact with the broader market demand over time. And now looking at Ethereum, Ethereum has been weaker than Bitcoin in relative terms. Now, Bitcoin did fall to 1,734 to 1,780. Now, the ETF flows here matter too, because Ethereum ETFs had strong periods of inflow earlier in 2026, but recent market weakness has overshadowed that support. Now, technically, Ethereum needs to hold recent lows and reclaim higher resistance zones to actually improve the overall momentum. So the takeaway is this: the last 24 hours have been a mix of ETF outflows, risk off sentiment, and leverage liquidations. Now, Bitcoin and Ethereum experienced sharp drops followed by rebounds. But the question is, can we go lower? Yes, we definitely can, especially if ETF outflows and macro uncertainty continue to persist. But crypto history also shows that violent pullbacks are a recurring feature of the asset class, not an anomaly. So the next key question is whether Bitcoin can continue defending the 60k area and whether Ethereum can stabilize above its recent lows. Now, my base is that the market remains volatile and headline driven in the near term. We've seen a significant leverage flush, ETF flows have been negative, and traders are reassessing risk. That means further downside is definitely still possible. Now, however, I would not frame this as a definite end of cycle signal yet. For that, I would want to see persistent institutional outflows, failed recoveries, and clear breakdowns of major levels. Now, before we wrap up today's video, I want you guys to take a look at Evedex. Now, if you're looking for a decentralized platform that allows you to trade directly while maintaining control of your assets fully, Evedex is that platform worth checking out. Now, one of the things they're currently running is they're running a prize and campaign rewards where active participants have the opportunity to compete for prizes including iPhones, AirPods, and Apple Watches. So if you're already trading and you're looking for an additional incentive, it may be something worth exploring. Now, as always, make sure you understand the risk involved with trading, do your own research, and never trade with money you can't afford to lose. But if you'd like to learn more about Evedex and see the current campaigns they're running, the link for that will be in the description down below. Now, if you guys found today's breakdown very useful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below whether you think Bitcoin has already found the local bottom or if another leg is still ahead. Now, hit that like button, that'll be greatly appreciated, and I'll see you all in the next one.